Welcome to GrowTech. This is a place where masters gather to transform the ordinary into masterpieces. Converting the ordinary into masterpieces is not easy. It takes people, effort, and determination. This week, we've hit 100 subscribers. It is because of you, my viewer, you, the subscriber, and those who share the links and tell a friend about this channel. So I want to thank you all because the far we've come, it has been because of a big team behind me, and all of you, I appreciate your effort. So today, we are at the nursery section, and there are a lot of things that we can learn from the nursery. Someone will ask, what is a nursery? Nursery is that small piece of land that seeds are first raised to germinate and to be taken care of until they are strong enough to be transported to the seedbed. So there are two terms here that I want to first differentiate for us as we move forward so that we understand them well. So this is the nursery. Seeds just germinated. Now we are having the seedlings that are growing here. They're about 13 days old and they're growing strong. And the small area is what we're calling the nursery. Behind me is what we're calling the seedbed. Seedbed is now where we shall uproot the seedlings and transplant them to grow to maturity, and they'll be harvested at the seedbed. Now, before they get to the seedbed, the care and maintenance that a farmer gives a plant will determine the harvest that the farmer is going to receive. And so there's a lot of things that have to be done here to give this plant a strong foundation, to allow it to grow strong, to be healthy enough to sustain itself in the long period that is going to stay in the seedbed. Now, when you are raising a nursery, there are dimensions that one has to consider. That is the length and the width of this nursery. The width is the distance from that end to where I am stepping. So this distance is the width, and the standard and the recommended width length is 1 meter. So it's supposed to be 1 meter long, the width, and the length of the nursery can go as long as the number of seeds that a farmer has to plant in the nursery. So if you have, for example, 1 kilogram of seeds that you want to raise in a nursery, it will cover a longer distance than a farmer who has 100 grams, for example. And as you plant them, you have to ensure that the nursery is raised. It's not as flat as the seedbed. So the seedbed is normally flat, but when you come to the nursery, you raise the nursery. There are benefits of raising this nursery. One of the reasons why we raise the nursery is for drainage. When it rains like it rained last night and it was a lot of rain, the excess water does not flood the nursery. So the excess water will drain itself from the nursery and flow to the farm. That will help these plants to avoid dumpy conditions that can provide conditions that will lead to poor growth and germination. After you've raised it, then it comes with now making drills. Drills are the lines that these seeds are placed. So you can see, like here I can count the drill. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They continue towards that side. So these are drills. The drills should be between 8 to 10 centimeters. That is what we did here. And as we do that, we also add manure. There you can still see some, we use the goat manure in raising this nursery. So you also apply manure and mix it well before you make the drills. After you've done that, then you come and put the seed singly. What does that mean? It means that as you put the seeds in these drills that you've put using your finger, you can use your finger, you can use a stick to put the drills, then you can put the seed singly. It means that you don't put a seed on top of the other, neither do you put them very close. But if that occurs, we'll tell you what you'll do to manage that overcrowding, because they're not also supposed to crowd, as you can see, that in some cases here they are crowded. After you've placed the seeds on the drills should be about, I normally say our fingers have lines, 1, 2, 3. A recommended depth is this first line. I don't know how to call it. How do you call it? Tell me in the comment section how you call this line here, so that I see how you call it with your various languages. Now that one is enough, that deep as that, the drill, and you place the seeds in those drills, then you cover them lightly. You should not put a lot of soil on top of a seed, because that will give it difficulty in germination. There will be too much weight of the soil, and the seed may exhaust the nutrients before it germinates. That will lead to failure to germinate, which we call poor growth germination percentage. You need these seeds to germinate close to 100%. Every seed that you buy from the agrovet, the packets or the container that the seeds are contained, check it at the back. There's a percentage written, germination percentage and also purity. Germination percentage is the number of seeds in that sachet that are supposed to germinate. For instance, if it is 100 seeds, 80% germination means that 80 seeds are supposed to germinate. That will go with the depending with the amount of seeds that you have. Now, having covered the seeds with the light soil, then you place some mulch material, dry grass. You place them on top of the nursery. You cover it with grass, and this grass, you can then now water the nursery over the grass. So this grass will help to reduce the velocity of water and also the force that the water hits the ground. That ensures that our seeds are not again drained or carried by water or eroded out of the nursery. Because if they are not, if they are loose and water carries them off, they'll germinate at the edges instead of germinating at the nursery, where we want them to germinate and handle them. And after a few days, you keep on checking, because they'll germinate. Kales germinate between 3, 4, 5 days. So you keep checking consistently to ensure that they germinate well. After they have germinated, then we raise now the nursery. So this shade is erected after they have germinated. If you prolong your mulch, then it is going to soothe the plants. That is to prevent them from growing upright. They'll develop very strong, very weak, long stems instead of reasonable stem size and length. Now, the shade, this is the shade that now we have. I've removed some of the measures that were covering this space, because they can now start getting used to this environment. And this is another practice, we call it hardening off. When it is in the nursery, the shade provides a conducive environment where now the aggressive sun heat does not overheat the nursery and lead to the soil drying and struggling with drainage. And now you apply shade so that we reduce the intensity of the sun hitting the nursery until these seedlings are strong enough to endure the sun. So as you observe the plant growing stronger, you start to remove this shade now, not at once, little by little, until finally the space is open as this. This will help them to adapt as you keep on removing them, and it also helps them to become stronger, preparing them for the life in the seedbed. Because in the seedbed, we are not going to have this nursery. You transplant them, and then the other care will be done at the seedbed. Now, someone will be asking when we started that what is the reason why the width should be 1 meter and not more? It's because of the management practices that is done here. For example, weeding. When you are weeding, you weed by uprooting them, like I'm doing right now. You remove weeds. Weeds are those plants that are germinating in your nursery that were not planted. Even if it is maize, you remove it. That is a weed now, because you didn't intend to have maize here. And so as you remove them, you realize that there's a stretch to which I'll reach here. Beyond that, I'll struggle. And so because it is 1 meter, I can now turn around and come to this other side and remove the weeds from this side. So it becomes easy to manage the whole nursery from whichever side that you are operating from. But assuming it was as wide as 2 meters, then for sure there's going to be some space here which I can't access. And services that and maintenance practices that are supposed to be done on that side is going to be technical, difficult, and can lead to losses unless you do what you don't want us to do. Stepping on the nursery. You are not supposed to step on this ground. These are kids, very young and vulnerable. They are kids of vegetable. So you're not supposed to step on here. You are going to interfere with their growth and their performance. So avoid stepping on the nursery at all cost by ensuring that you can access the nursery using this recommended measurement. Apart from that, we've talked about weeding. There is also control of pests and diseases. If you see there are pests, if you do like this, for example, you can see white flies, but here they are not there because we have maintained that by spraying them and ensuring that we don't have pests that is going to kill or to destroy these vegetables in the nursery. Another management practices that is critical is what we are calling thinning. What is thinning? If you look at this nursery here, there's a lot of vegetable that is growing here, which means that they are overcrowding. So a farmer needs to reduce the amount of seedlings in an overcrowded place. The practice of removing these extra seedlings from this place, because if you can see this nursery, there are places where there's overcrowding, and there are other spaces like this here where the seeds did not germinate. Now you can use this space to feed the vegetables that you're going to uproot here so that you plant them on this space. When you place them here, they'll get space to grow both with regard to by reducing the competition. When they are crowded like this, they are competing for nutrients, sunlight, and everything, making those that are young and germinated later to be weak, and that will prolong the amount of time they are going to spend in the nursery. After 21 days, these seedlings are going to be ready to be transplanted. And how do you transplant them? You start with the strongest. You start with the most healthy seedlings. Again, as you do that, you realize that it also helps you to do thinning. So you'll be removing the strong ones and transplanting them in the seedbed as you give the weak ones and the young ones more time to grow and to be strong, ready to be transplanted. Finally, once you've transplanted all the seedlings and you still have more in this nursery, then there's a benefit that a farmer gets by having this nursery with excess seedlings, because now you can sell them. How much do you buy a seedlings in the agrovet? I think most agrovets in Kenya are, you'll find that they're selling also seedlings, or in whichever country you're coming from. How much is a seedling of kales? In Kenya, most of them are being sold at 10 shillings. So for every seedling that will be excess, you can get income by selling them early before you start earning from the vegetable that you'll be harvesting later. And so that is a benefit that a farmer gets by raising a nursery. But I want to say that raising a nursery is a very difficult task for many. Many avoid horticulture because they are afraid of trying their hands. This vegetable that we are having here is called the 1,000-headed sukuma wiki. What does that mean? These are sukuma wikis that as they grow tall, they'll develop some suckers on the stem, which can be plucked and be transplanted somewhere, and they'll grow. So you can multiply your production by using these 1,000-headed sukuma wiki. Who is around the coast and needs them? Comment down there and tell me where you are. I can spare some for you and ensure that you are appreciated as my viewer and as a subscriber. Now, once everything is done, we now leave the nursery. As we transplant them, the excess we've sold, the focus will now be on the seedbed. So moving forward, we shall look at what happens at the seedbed and the practices that a farmer needs to take note of as we move now to the seedbed. But for now, I want to appreciate you for your time and for viewing this video. This is Green Comeback Farm, and hit that subscription and ring that bell. Thank you so much for your time. Until then, next time, have a good time.